Okay, this is officially the most obnoxious and in the way clip I've ever taken, not for an official shoot. So, hope you appreciate it. Moving on. What's poppin', people? We're here today for a little bit of back and arm work. Two of the areas that I really need to work on growing going into the next season. So I'm going to take you through each exercise that I'm doing, give you a little idea on the tips and tricks of how I like to do it to make it more effective for me. And hopefully you guys can take a little bit from that. As always, we're doing our best to respect the other people in the gym. Try to make sure we don't include them in our shots if we possibly can. Always make sure we ask before doing any shots that people might be getting into, and always not getting upset if people do walk through our camera because we all pay that same gym fee. We're all here to get better. So once again, I'm going to go through. I'm going to show you guys my back and arm day currently and see if you guys can gain a little bit of tips from it to work on your own things. Okay, so with our landmine T-bar row, the big thing we want to really focus on is where in our back are we working. So as has been proven in studies and as I've been saying for years, the angle of your elbow versus your shoulder is going to determine which parts of your back you're using. So the closer you are being straight out from that shoulder, the higher up in your back is going to be activated due to the motion of the scapula there. Versus one of the functions of the lat is to pull that arm in. So doing your arm motions here, just going to focus a little lower down into your lats, versus being more up here for that upper back, traps, rhomboids, etc. So deciding where you really want to work is the first step. Me personally, trying to increase my lats, especially my lower lats if I can, so I get more difference between my lats and my hips in any sort of front pose there. So that's one of the biggest things that I'm working on. So I'm going to be making sure that I keep my hands nice and close together. The next thing is, how are you going to grip the bar? The most common way to do it is to grab one of these V-bar handles and just throw it underneath. I really like these ones because they're kind of rounded in the middle, which try to make a perfect fit for the bar so it's not janky and wobbly around. So you come down in here, put your weight in your heels, shift your butt back. Don't lean completely over forward, shift your butt back, and then grab right under at the collar of the bar. Take a deep breath in. And on the exhale, you're going to squeeze, internally rotate your arms, technically externally rotate, pull your elbows towards you, and then pull back. You're going to get a little bit of a stand up. You are going to be involving your spinal rectus a little bit. And that's one of the reasons that I do like this variation, is because you can get that extra work, cause your body to work as a unit, and while still getting a good amount of tension on the muscles that you want to grow. It's also why I'm doing this first, because it's going to cause more systemic fatigue. So I want to have more energy overall. Now you'll notice with these big weights, these big bumper plates, I'm not able to get it super high before it touches my chest, but that's totally fine. Maybe a lower overall range of motion, but be able to get the full part of the stretch, which, as shown, being loaded under stretch is more important for growth than being loaded at the squeeze. And don't worry, we will do some real tight squeezing, more full range of motion exercises later. All right, final set here on the landmine T-bar row. I went ahead and worked up one plate at a time, doing sets of 10. The last one did really feel kind of like a struggle with 10, so I know I'm doing pretty well. This time I'm going to go ahead and finish with a drop set, really get everything that I can out of this movement, because I feel like this is one of the movements that is very beneficial, and honestly one of the more beneficial movements for my programming towards my goals. So I really want to put the most into and get the most out of this movement. And that's an important thing to think about when you're programming yourself in the future, or if you're working with a coach in the future. That's how I would program for you, is to take the exercises that you like, that you know that you feel in the areas that you're trying to improve, and really put effort into those, and then support those with other exercises rather than throwing a whole bunch of stuff at the wall. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this drop set going, and we'll move on to our next exercise. Oh, whew. fading fast. Oh my goodness. Come on. That's how you get the most out of your exercise right there. All right, so next up, we're gonna go with the wider grip to focus, like I said, on more of that upper back. A little bit of teres on the outside of the scapula here. A little bit of depression in there from the trapezius. And again, still working lats because we're gonna be leaning in an angle where we're still bringing our elbow closer to our waist. So we'll hop in here, do a couple sets on this, and then we'll move to maybe some isolation movements. Now, what do I mean about the angle of my elbow? It's not just going up. It's not all row movements are going to be more lats. More pull down are going to be more upper back. It's really more the angle of it. So think about it this way. When I was doing the row, it's this pull movement. So I could do it here for more lats or here for more upper back. So if I'm doing the pull down, if I were to do this pull down, rotate that elbow in, now all of a sudden I'm more in line with that lat there versus if I keep my elbows wide like I currently am. Notice how when it comes down, it's coming through that teres and more the lateral aspect. So that's what I'm talking about when I mean going for more of the upper back in this movement. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up my sets here. It's really kind of an awkward spot because it's in the middle of the gym to find a place to record without being super rude. So apologies for the angle on this one and the lack of footage for it. But again, we're trying to do our best to be respectful here. Okay, welcome back to the video of awkward shots. Once again, trying to stay out of the way, so we're only going to film one set of this, but got this nice high to low row, which is going to be a really good chance to, again, bring that elbow in, isolate and focus on the lats there. We're doing a couple sets of single hand because it's individual hand row right there. So I'm going to go through, film one set here, and then I will be moving on to something else. Most likely starting arms soon. Notice I'm rotating myself around the pad a little bit so I can really reach out. A, get it in the right plane of motion for the lat, and B, let it stretch around my rib cage there. And I'm also going to kind of lean and crunch a little as I go to make sure I get that full squeeze. Whew. All right. See you guys in 2 more sets per arm. We'll go ahead and start doing some arm work. Okay. We're starting off our arm exercises. We're going to do 2 for bis, 2 for tris. Probably do between 3 to 5 sets each, depending on how they're feeling. First up, Nice traditional alternating dumbbell bicep curl. Not too heavy, really focusing on getting good reps. Probably get through maybe 10 to 12 an arm because I've done all this back work. Again, but this time I'm leaning my butt against the wall, not a full straight curl. Just enough to give me a little support so I don't swing too much as I go through. Whew. It's 10 per arm. That hurt. I'll probably go for 2 more here, and then we'll go to the first thing for triceps. All right, so next up, we're gonna have some incline bench skull crushers using the easy bar. I'm actually doing it laying on the decline bench because it gives me a lot of support up here in my shoulders. And also because when I do the normal benches, I feel like I have to stand up sort of anyways, otherwise I can't get my arms fully behind my head with the pad back there. So, roll out our easy bar, pick it up, line up our shoulders on top, and then let our legs out because we shouldn't really slide too much. Deep breath in on the way down, out on the way up. Now, I don't really do free weight exercises for my triceps all that often anymore since I have been dealing with some elbow tendonitis for the last couple of years. But notice I go nice and light, take my time with it, really feel the stretch, feel the squeeze. I feel like it's a pretty good way for me to really activate my triceps, especially on a day when I didn't do them beforehand, like chest or shoulders. So really kind of get them going and then put more into the cable exercise, just like I was talking about putting more into that T-bar rep. All right, second exercise for biceps. We're going to be doing a dual cable curl here, the dual cable machine. Each hand's being moving individually, moving its own load. Also, at the same time, we're going to be doing the curls together. I'm not going to be doing individual curls like I did with the alternating curls and the dumbbells. So, getting up, and where you're in front of it, you really want to make sure you kind of have your elbow at or behind midline so that as you're curling up, you're really getting that full squeeze, full stretch away from the body because your bicep performs flexion. So it's in front of your body, you're taking some of that motion away from it. Versus if you extend it beforehand, now it's extended at the elbow and at the shoulder. You can really get that big squeeze on the curl. We're going to do 3 more sets of that, and then we'll get to triceps on the same machine. Okay, this is officially the most obnoxious and in the way clip I've ever taken, not for an official shoot. So, hope you appreciate it. Moving on to some cable extensions. I'm gonna grab the ones that are cross body over my head, bring them down, and be working just that elbow extension. Again, with the elbow, since we do elbow extension on the tricep, we do a little bit of shoulder extension, not a whole lot. So I'm gonna let them come across here and come out. I will move a little bit with my back there, but I'm trying to minimize it because the tricep does not do a whole lot of that arm extension because your back muscles take over so much. Set one. We're gonna do 3, possibly 4, depending on how much the third one tires me out. Uh, so 3 more, possibly 4 more, total of 4, possibly 5. Seeing how much they tire me out. Finish off the triceps because I really want them to grow. And afterwards, I'm gonna go ahead and hop up in the classroom, get a little bit of posing practice, see how I look with a pump. So the gym I go to is currently having some problems with their electrical, some issues with their lighting ever since a power outage that happened a couple weeks ago. So I'm quite got it fixed out. So the classroom right now is completely dark. I've got a feeling it's a choice between completely dark and completely on, and I'd probably rather it be completely dark because the completely on lights are not great for me. It's this pale. So this right here is a lighting check shot. Once we see whether or not we like it, we'll get into some posing practice so you can see my flow, see how I'm doing, and I know where to go to progress going forward, as well as maybe give you guys a couple things that you can try during your own posing practice. All right. As usual with my posing practice, I'm just going to start by running through mandatories, quarter turns, mixed with mandatories. So I'm going to do the quarter turn and then the mandatory poses that correspond with it. I'm going to go ahead and do all the mandatories open bodybuilding style because even if I don't hit those as mandatories during classic, there's still things that are valid for me to hit later in a routine, earlier in that prejudging routine, or maybe even as my favorite classic if that's something I like Chris does with that lat spread, and a lot of people do with side tricep. So okay, so catch my breath a little bit, but let's see if you guys notice the same things that the judges pointed out at the last nationals. They were telling me I need to work on my lower lats to increase the difference between the bottom of my lat and the top of my waist to make that V taper greater. I need to continue working on my arms so they can match my shoulders. I continue working on my legs overall, but specifically my calves. My thighs have grown a lot since they last saw me. My calves have grown a little, but not as much as the thighs. So now it's at the point where even though my thighs probably need to come up compared to my upper body, they're pretty close proportional, but my calves are lacking behind. That, all those things And also, they want me to bring up the size, the literal size and definition and separation of my abs. So I need to actually hypertrophy my ab muscles. So 2 days a week, I'm doing some weighted ab movements. 2 other days a week, I'm doing some non-weighted ab movements. Really hitting them hard. Today is going to be a no ab day. So it's one of the 3 rare no ab days. I want to end this video on a high note, something that brings some value to you. Thank you all for watching to the end of this video. If you have, I'm going to leave you a little tidbit of information. Now, coming into bodybuilding, especially when we first start, it's not common we're the biggest guy on stage. But the biggest guy is not always necessarily who wins. Your presentation is a huge part of that. So throwing it back to a movie that if you haven't seen it yet, I understand a lot of the new people getting into bodybuilding and fitness haven't seen this movie because it is really old, but watch Pumping Iron. Find a way to watch it. I bought it on sale on YouTube Movies for like $1.99 a couple years ago. I'm sure there's a couple places that you can stream it. So find Pumping Iron, watch it. There's a scene where Arnold speaks to a young man who's talking about how if he could never get as tall as his father, he wanted to be as wide as him, so what got him into bodybuilding. When he hits his poses, specifically this is the pose they're working on, he's coming here. He's flexing as hard as he can. He's crunching his abs. He's bringing this bicep in and this bicep in. He's really squeezing really hard. And you may think that that's the key to your poses. The thing is, it's not. The key to your poses is the shape overall. It's not the squeeze of the individual muscle. You should be able to hit your pose with no flex and have it look almost as good as it does when you do flex. And that flex should just be the last little polish that shows your conditioning. So what Arnold told him is he told him about how small guys tend to shrink away from the pose and squeeze up. And what that is that over-flexing, that over-reliance on flexing. It's that believing you're not big enough. So you squeeze harder to try to make your muscles look bigger. But when you squeeze, you make your muscles shorter, which actually makes it smaller. So in specifically that pose, when you're coming into it, getting this leg nice and relaxed, hamstring set, you're going to come here and scoop. And right here, I'm not even going to flex yet until I get into the pose. Setting that up, setting this angle that allows them to look up and across. Then open your shoulders, take up more space. Now your shoulders are wider than your waist and you look very impressive. And you get that X frame, you get that V taper. Then instead of squeezing your arm here, bring it up and out. Bring your elbow as far away from you as you can. Stretch out first, then flex in. Then once you're in position, you squeeze. So that's our posing tip for today. Worry about the shape before you worry about the squeeze. Take up as much room as you can, and that's going to make you look bigger than flexing as hard as possible. Thanks again for tuning in. Try to make some more videos like this more often and try to figure out a way to schedule it in my crazy life so I can continue getting some information out to you guys. See you next time.